teamed up with the boy Mark the Mentor. Are you ready to take your trucking business to the next level? With Trucks.pro, you get access to the best load board in the game, giving you the tools to find higher paying loads and streamline your operation. And right now, you can try the Pro plan free for 30 days, a $159 value. Click the link in the description to claim your free Pro plan and start making smarter moves for your trucking business today.
Warning: the following content contains strong language and may not be suitable for children. This content is primarily for adults as this is a trucking channel and truckers have filthy mouths. Please don't tweak if I say viewer discretion is advised.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Today is November 1st. Happy Friday. All right. November is here. The countdown begins. All right. How's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? Let's get this roll call out the way so we can get to it. Shout out to UK Hemi. Shout out to all the MGM members. UK Hemi said, yo, last night was funny. Shout out to UK Hemi. Shout out to everybody that's part of the MGM gang. Shout out to Happy to Deliver. Sharks World, what's going on? Who else we got? Great Polo representing. Transportation Boys. Hey, Transportation Boys, better run that nickel. That nickel. Shout out to Knowledge Born. Just became a member of the MGM gang. Shout out to you. Who else we got? SD Walt, what's going on? Hey man, the MGM gang I think is the biggest box truck community on all the interwebs. Yeah, the gang is getting stronger and stronger. Every day we just recruit new members. Every single day. We got a couple hundred members right now. Couple hundred members. So shout out to everybody that's part of the MGM gang. Appreciate you guys for seeing the value in the content in the channel. Just wanted to give y'all a shout out. Shout out to Thomas Fowler. Shout out to Rich Jew representing the crib. Marcus Williams, what's going on? Great Polo. William Sweet. Who else we got? Marcellus, what's going on? Dave, how you feeling? Good morning, good morning, good morning. November 1st. November is here. This is the month that everybody waits for. So many people place their, just build their business on like these 2 or 3 weeks between Black Friday and Christmas. All right. So this is the time period that everybody, waits for all year. So it's here. Some people are actually, they still got their hopes and dreams up that they're going to see a repeat of 2021. You didn't see it in 2022. You didn't see it in 2023. You're not going to see it this year. If you were, you'd already be seeing remnants of that. And it's been quiet. Like, you don't see anybody putting out peak season content. I said in August and September, I wasn't putting any peak season content out. And I stood by that. I did talk to the members and gave them my forecast on peak season. So if you're a member, then you got that exclusive, information. Other than that, it's November, about 3 weeks to Thanksgiving. So let's get into it. So last night, Jesus Christ, last night. My God, man, I don't know what to say, but it's just like I always say, and shout out to Kenneth, good sport, good sport, he tried, but it never fails. Let's talk about equipment finance loans. I touched on this last year, right around this time. Unfortunately, that content is not up because something happened during that live stream that made me not want to leave that up for public display. I may cut it out and then put it up as a separate piece of content. But let's talk about equipment finance loans. All right. This is something that a lot of people fall victim to. All right. I look at these loans all the time, right? People send me these loans all the time. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, turn on all post notifications. This is something that, people send me these loans all the time to look at. And they never send them to me prior to signing the deal. It's always afterwards, a few months afterwards, a year afterwards, when they're in some type of financial turmoil. And then they do what's in their best interest, which is start to look where they can cut cost, right? Which takes them back to the deal on how they finance, which is when they start going through the contract and they do something simple like take what they're paying a month and times the month that they agree to, whatever the term is. And then they see this big, huge number that's usually about double of what the vehicle costs. And then they get upset. And then they get into a panic. And then they get into an uproar. And then they call Big Mark and they ask Big Mark to look at it. And then I have to be the person who breaks the hard news to them. All right. So what is an equipment finance loan? All right. First, let's talk about what is it. It's a loan that's designed for businesses to purchase equipment, right? Trucks, trailers, machinery. It's just not a loan that's designed for trucking companies, right? Box truck, semi truck, cargo van. There's companies in different industries that purchase machinery with equipment finance loans. And unlike traditional loans and equipment finance loans use the actual equipment as collateral. The actual equipment that you're purchasing or financing, they're using that equipment as the collateral, which that process helps lower the initial barrier for approval. All right. So now with commercial equipment presents a high risk, right? So if you watched the show last night, um, if you are a person who's seasoned in business, who's been in business for a while, and you purchased some used trucks before, a traditional bank does not finance trucks, right? Why? Because they're high risk, right? So conventional, they just don't do it. So unlike business loans, equipment finance loans come with high interest, right? Because they're high risk. Um, it's a high risk investment for the lender, right? And because it's a high risk, it comes with high interest. And from my research, right? What I found is that the interest rates aren't regulated on a federal level, all right? They're regulated on a state level, right? And they can go as high as 35% or higher in some states. So there's no federal regulation to cap it, all right? Now, that's the unfortunate thing. Another unfortunate thing is when you look at these equipment agreements, the verbiage is written in a way where the interest rate is hidden. All right. Now, I got a few examples. I like to use one particular that I use all the time because it's pretty much as far as what you're going to be paying is cut and dry. Some of the other ones that I have an example, the verbiage is really, really scrambled and it's not cut and dry of how they're, screwing you over. So I've seen them from my research 30, 35, and even higher, which I thought was preposterous. And I didn't even realize some of these loans could go that high, but there's people paying 35% or more on some of these equipment finance loans for some of these box trucks. There's people that, so for instance, if you take out a $50,000 loan with a 15% interest rate, that means you're paying about $7,500 in interest in just 1 year. Over a 5-year period, you can end up paying nearly double for the truck. And that's what we see a lot of people do. And that's just at 15%. I got a case where I'm looking at a 25%. and a $50,000 truck than spending $96,000 for it. And this individual actually, who came to me when he was in trouble, right? His business hit, I don't want to say it hit a fork in the road, but it just hit a point where it was in financial turmoil. He found my channel. Once he found my channel, he started to do things that were in his best interest, which is go through his finances and see where he can cut corners, which actually led him back to his initial finance. And that's when he discovered that I've got a $50,000 truck, but I'm about to pay $100,000 for it. So, when I tell people like how I was arguing with the guy last night, and he's telling me about all this, financial woke shit that he was talking about. And then once it got into his personal stuff, you know, it led us to And let me tell you about Mr. Perko. Was it Perko Industries? Listen, I had nightmares last night. Big Mark had nightmares. Listen, I woke up. Y'all want to hear about my dream? Because Perko, I had a nightmare about Perko. So let me tell you about it real quick. Some strange reason I'm in the market for a box truck. And I end up at Perko. Now, the dream didn't start with me sitting down going through the actual deal. I was already in the deal. When the dream started, I'm already in the deal with Perko. And I'm just paying Perko and I'm paying Perko and I'm paying Perko. And I'm like, man, this truck is paid off, but Perko's still charging me for the truck. And then I just kept seeing that building. Remember that building from last night, the Perko building? Listen, I got to pull that building up for y'all because some of y'all didn't see the live stream last night. Let me pull Perko building up for y'all because y'all might think I'm bullshitting. What was it? Perko Industries? Perko Industries. Hold on. And Kenneth he gonna be upset with me when he see the replay of this live stream, but that's okay. He'll be all right. He a big boy, right? Kenneth is a big boy. All right, so Perko Industries. Listen, I woke up in a cold sweat. I just kept seeing this in my dream. Listen, I was so scared last night that when I woke up, I couldn't get back to sleep. I had to sleep with the TV on. Don't you know how you used to have to sleep with the TV on when you was a kid so you get some type of light filtration in the room? Listen, I was petrified. This is all I kept seeing in my dream. This is Perko Industries. This is a finance company. That's it right there. This is where you go. These are the people that finance you when you go through the equipment fund. That's what they look like. That's what they look like. Let's talk about it. Unfavorable loan terms. Now, the argument last night, and this is a continuation of last night, was, he didn't have any prepayment penalties. He didn't have high interest rate. There was no hidden fees. Every single loan that I look at, we'll pull one up on the screen. I'm gonna use my favorite one because it's just simple. It's simple to look at, and I'll keep it up on the screen as we talk about it. Every single equipment, finance, high interest loan, they all look the same. Now you may have to blow your phone up, you know what I'm saying? They all look the same. They're not like traditional conventional loans through some of your main banks. All right. For instance, and I've used this example. This vehicle was purchased at Ryder, right? Ryder sent this person through Top Mark. I have a few subscribers that went through Top Mark. Top Mark is a broker. They don't actually do the financing. They send you to a lender, right? Not a bank, not a financial institution, a hard money lender, or a high risk lender, let's say. Truck was 58,657. Right now, there's fees here, and the reason why I like using this example is because they didn't hide the fees; they put them right out there in front of you. So 750 for direct finance cost. What is that? What is a direct finance cost? And why am I paying 750 for it? All right. If you look at the bottom, documentation fee, $1,500. What is a documentation fee? Now, I've bought personal vehicles, I've leased personal vehicles, I've I've leased company vehicles, right? That I drove for business use. Let me correct that just in case them people watching. I've financed personal vehicles, I've leased cars under the business. I've purchased or I financed commercial trucks, right? Um Whether I'm doing it personally or whether I'm doing it commercially for the business, I've never encountered a direct finance cost. I don't even know what that is. I haven't researched it. I don't care to know. Documentation fee, what is that? These are fees that initially, I believe, go back to the broker, which who found the loan, which would be Topmark, right? Topmark is a broker that a lot of these guys use to find lenders. That's probably what they get, right? So they charge that on top of the loan. They're not taking that out of the money that they're buying the deal for, right? Because they're essentially buying the deal, right? They're taking on the risk, right? All right. So for this company to take on this risk, they're going to acquire the truck from Ryder for 58,657. Total finance 59,407.25. Right. The individual had to pay 750 as a direct finance cost, which they financed it, and then they are paying $1,500 for the documentation fee. So their dollar amount up front was $3,210.46. All right. They had to pay the first 2 months, well, the first and the last month up front. All right. So the first and the last month up front, all right, which left them with 58 payments. So 60 payments together, right? Because they paid the first and last. So 60 payments at 1605.23. Now, the truck was 59,407. Truck was 59,407. All right. So let's do a little math here. Let's do a little math here. We got 1605.23 times 60 months. That's $96,313. Now, that's 96,300. So it's about $36,000 that this company wants. Now, you don't see a finance rate, a percentage. Pretty much they've already determined what they want for this deal. This is what they want. It's a predetermined number. Now, you can do a mathematical equation to sum up what the percentage is, but it's pretty much predetermined. If you've ever went and you've purchased a vehicle or you've leased a vehicle from a conventional bank, a traditional bank, when you see the bill of sale, when you go back and you sit in the finance manager's office and they give you that, well, back in the day, they used to give you this long sheet. It was white and pink. It was white, and then it was like carbon, that carbon paper where they peel and they peel the one off, and when you write on it, it goes through it and all that stuff. They don't do that no more. Nowadays, a lot of the traditional dealerships, when you go, into the finance office, they got the table is a whole screen, and then they give you a stylus and you sign on the screen. That first sheet, after you read about the first two couple lines of verbiage, then you see a small little blank line, and then typed in will be 3% or 4% or 5% if you got good credit. All right. You don't see that here. You see a predetermined rate because they've already determined, listen, this is a high risk. We want to make $36,000 off this deal. Now, what can you do with $36,000? I tell you what I could do with $36,000. That's another truck. Now, a person who's purchasing this piece of equipment for this amount of money more than likely is going to have to finance it, right? But the point that I'm talking about today is that going this route, you are going to be hit with exorbitant fees, a lot of hidden fees. Now, this contract has a bunch of verbiage that I haven't highlighted the verbiage because this contract was about 8 or 9 pages where it's just verbiage, where it says that if you pay off this loan early prior to the 60 months, that 36,000 that they want to make off the deal, you still got to pay that. Like, you can't pay off the loan and erase the interest. No, you have to pay off the whole balance of the 1605.23 times 60 months. Whatever that number is, that's what they want. This particular individual, every time he made a payment in their portal, they also charged him an extra $10. So when he goes into the portal to make the payment, they charge him $10 just to make his payment. Now, remove this from the screen. Let me see. Let's see if I can pull this up. Here is all this verbiage. Is small. Now, here is, I just wanted to make sure I redacted this individual's information. Now, this would normally be where you would see the rates. And there, I've read this with a fine tooth comb a couple times. I actually went through it piece by piece, all right, line by line with the person, all right, and there's no trace of a rate. In here, we did find, I just didn't highlight it, I wish I would have, that if the individual, I don't want to say his name, paid it off early, he would still be responsible for the total amount, which would be the $96,313.80. Now, listen, people got to do what you got to do. And I understand that a lot of people want to get into this business. So my argument last night, and it's always been, delay your gratification, come in with cash so that you can avoid these shady business practices. That's it. I mean, the hidden fees, the hidden charges, all that money can be reinvested into additional equipment that everybody wants to scale. Everybody wants to scale. The $36,000 this individual would have paid, he ended up not paying it because, like I said, business just to start not going too well, and he got upset with himself once he looked at the deal and we went through it and he realized how much he was going to pay, he just decided to voluntarily give the truck back. But that $36,000 initially was another truck. Now I see Kenneth in the chat. Now Kenneth, this ain't about you tonight or this morning. This ain't about you. We made it about you last night. But that was a good segue into this morning's show, to show people who may have not got to see last night or maybe didn't make it all the way through last night on why they should avoid these types of loans. Now, we got a poll in the chat. We got 38 votes, and 84% say they ain't in no equipment finance. I think it's a little cap to that. I don't think 84% people did what's in the best, because a lot of people that go to Ryder, a lot of people that go to Enterprise, a lot of people that go to Penske, they are pushed in this direction. They're pushed in this direction. And if you don't know any better, what do? If you get to that point and you're going to look at the trucks and you're ready to pull that trigger on a truck, and this is the direction that the company that you're going to purchase your equipment from is pushing you, then that's where most people are going to go. That's why so many people get caught in these deals. So I'm not too sure that 83% or 82% of the people in the chat didn't do it, because the amount of these loans that I look at says otherwise. All right. So normally when owner operators sign these deals, especially I've talked to some people who have scaled that got a couple of these deals. They financing a couple pieces of equipment this way so that they can scale and expand quickly. So you know what? Then they become over leveraged. They've taken out too much debt relative to income. I know a few people that have really, 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 really over leveraged themselves by taking out multiple equipment finance loans and then getting into trouble. Then they got to come to me, and then I got to tell them the truth. Especially when market fluctuations happen. That's when they really start to feel it, because they become strapped for cash, and then they want to go do what's in their best interest and start backtracking and looking at all the purchases that they made. When in actuality, and we just kicking it. We just want to take a look at this. Let me pull this back up on the screen. Let's pull this back up on the screen. Where is that? Because here go a Penske one I could show, but we're going to keep this one because this is just a great example. It's just really so cut and dry. Really, it was already in your best interest that you could have just looked at this right here and already know what you was getting into, because you had to sign off on this. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications. There's no way on God's green earth, and shout out to this individual giving me the clearance to utilize this, and said, he said, man, Mark, I don't want people to make the same mistake that I did. Because when he got this in the email, he admitted, he said, man, what you just did, what I did with him when we were on this Zoom and we was going through it. He said, what you just did was so simple. I don't know why I didn't do that. And the only thing I did was take 1605.23 and times the term. When that number popped up on the screen, it was just like one of the moments where he was just stuck. He could have did this once he got this contract. in his email? Once he got this contract in his email, he could have did the same thing, and he would have known what the total he was going to be paying for this truck over a course of 60 months, 5 years. Me, I would have did that, and I would have said, "Nah, let me find another way." I'm not going to over leverage myself. I'm not going to put myself as a business person in financial burden, which is why I reiterate when I talk to people, right, who come from humble beginnings, who don't understand what they're getting into with these equipment finance agreements, it's best to work really, really hard, come in with a low initial cost, and then this takes us to the debate new versus used. You get a fairly new truck at a higher cost. There are other options where you can go to finance, but most people end up in this direction. So now when you talk about these guys that go out and get these 50, 60,000, I got one in here where this person is going to end up paying $140 something thousand for their truck. I just haven't redacted their personal information, so I don't want to pull it on the screen. They're going to pay $140 something thousand for a truck. Why? They went out. They did what some of these people say. Hey, don't go get no older truck. Get you something fairly newer, and now they underwater. The people that's telling them to do these things, I keep telling you, when shit hits the fan, you're the person who's going to have to deal with it. Nobody else. Creative Investor says, can you discuss a good way to finance? We're talking about people that are coming in initially. So once again, cash. Cash. I've only financed 2 commercial pieces of equipment. One was with Ally, one was with Wells Fargo. Both of those commercial pieces of equipment were brand new. And both were purchased from traditional dealerships. All the third party mom and pop trucking companies, well, I only dealt with one here, that I purchased all my used equipment from, I bought it cash. I wrote a check. Why? Because places like this, Perco, is what was presented to me. And when I looked at the terms, I said, hell no. I got cash. Oh, Kenneth, who you talking to? Kenneth, who you talking to? Who's Kenneth talking to? Hey, oh, okay. I thought he was talking to me. Hey, y'all need to chill out in the chat. Listen, this chat got a little bit unruly. Let's keep it peaceful in the chat. You can agree or disagree, but let's keep it peaceful. Cause ain't nobody gonna do nothing to nobody. Like all that internet cap, ain't nobody finna do nothing to nobody. Y'all need to chill. Ain't none of y'all finna do nothing. All that internet stuff, cut it out. Ain't nobody finna do nothing. I know, hold on, let me see who we talking to. Kenneth, you in your truck. Transportation, you in your truck. Y'all probably in 2 different parts of the country. Neither one of y'all finna do nothing. So chill. Ain't shit cracking. You could have a intellectual debate, but keep it PG-13. You could do a little rated R. It's fine, but let's not get internet with it. All right, because neither one of y'all finna do nothing. Neither one of y'all finna do nothing. Y'all ain't finna do nothing. So stop it. It's early in the morning. It's early in the morning on a Friday. And y'all in here cutting up. Creative Investor said, Mark, you said it's competitive. Your chat. See, Creative Investor want to challenge me. Creative Investor, I don't know what your issue is with me. Creative Investor sent me a long message one time. And I just was like, whoa, where did that come from? But it's all good. It's all good in the hood. You dig what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, y'all cut it out. All right. All right. Chill. Let's not get too, carried away. All right. So going back to what I was talking about, and you could agree, you could disagree. At the end of the day, listen, I'm only speaking from my perspective, what has worked for me. And I believe if it worked for me in this example, it could work for anyone else. Why? Because I used what I had. The risk was minimal. It took a little bit longer, but there was minimal risk. So, me personally, I don't see what's wrong with me telling people you can build a business starting with minimal risk. It may take a little bit longer and just use what you have and just grow from there. I don't understand what's wrong with that. The thing is people on the other side of the camera, you don't get to experience the emails and the DMs and the people that are coming to me, and then I have to listen to some of these stories. A lot of people have been misled and continuously are being misled coming into this industry, whether they got financial literacy or not. Here's the thing. In order to become a good business person, you first got to get into business and kind of get your business IQ up, and your business acumen kind of grows over time. Some people just don't make wise decisions initially. Some people don't take the time to sit back business and just assess certain things. They just consume information from wherever they consume it from, and then just take it and run with it. Sometimes they may get lucky and find someone who has some type of moral compass and is not just going to say shit, understanding what influence is and what influence can do, knowing that people will just run with it. I see this a lot with some of these influencers, especially these guys that's in their 20s. A lot of these guys that's young, they just tell y'all what y'all want to hear. And a lot of people run with it because these guys is cool and, you know, you know, they look young. They look at me as an OG. They call me Unc. OG. Oh man, that shit old, man. That's the old way of doing it. And then this is why I be hard on them. They all say the same shit when they come. See, y'all don't hear these conversations because I don't, not everybody clicks the link. Some people reach out to me, you know, they come in the Discord, and the Discord is public. It be people in those Discord voice rooms, and they hear it. It's just not as many people that you see like when you watching a live stream. And some of these stories that I hear with some of these guys that they go to is a lot of these young boys. And then the shit that they tell me is crazy, but they fall for it. And they say, man, OG, I wish I would have found your channel first. Because what you saying make a lot of sense. And when I sat and thought about it and I applied it, but it was too late. See, that's the thing. I got a moral compass. I'm not going to tell somebody something that I know is very risky and I know they're working with limited resources. So I'm going to tell them, listen, this way it's going to be harder, it's going to take longer, but the risk is lower. You just have to practice a little delayed gratification. And I promise you, you'll get there. See, me, I can't sleep well knowing, that somebody came to me and saying they got $7,000 and just saying, yeah, go rent a box truck and you'll be fine. Like I watched one guy do. See, me, I just can't do that. God won't allow me to do that. So you could disagree all you want. You could disagree all you want. But at the end of the day, the safer path, the longer path, the path with the lower risk, in my opinion, which is the path that I took because it's the only path that I had, I think it's the better path. I would never advise someone to go take out one of these loans. This is why I say come in with a used piece of equipment, something that you can buy cash. Still got to go through, I say this shit all the time. You got to go through the learning curve. You're going to deal with market fluctuations. You're going to deal with seasonality. You're going to deal in periods of lower demand. No one can predict the future. So why send a person who's a novice into a new industry with a high initial cost and a high risk loan? Well, Mark, you don't have to pay the maintenance. There's going to be more maintenance. Okay. That's a possibility. But there's a guy that came into my Discord yesterday. Well, he's already been in the Discord. New truck, fairly new truck. One of these new trucks that your favorite people tell him to go out and get. And guess what? The truck broke down. He had the truck, a month? Less than a month? And the truck is already in the shop a week. New truck, fairly new truck. So that goes back to what I say. New truck and old truck, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to make money. And they're going to break down. I bought a brand new, when I bought my Silverado, I bought it brand new. A couple months later, the actuator went out. Brand new truck, didn't have no miles on it. Same thing with personal vehicles. These things are man-made. Things happen. They're going to fail. But an older truck, you may have more maintenance on it. You may not. But the maintenance, as long as it's not powertrain related, even if I spend more than average on usual for maintenance, let's say the first year of getting a used piece of equipment, I'm still going to come out cash flow positive more so than getting a newer piece of equipment with the higher finance payment and higher insurance. If I go out not for a year straight, I worked 2 jobs, let's say, and I save up 40 grand. I delay my gratification, I save up 40 grand. I go out, buy a new truck and everything. I'm 10 grand in. I mean 30 grand in. I got $10,000 in working capital. To me, that's a person who's more set up to succeed than the person, like in this case where I showed, who went out and bought a $60,000 truck, who's going to pay $100,000 for it. And when market fluctuations and things happen, because things do happen in business. In the case of this particular gentleman that I showed, you know what happened? The truck broke down. Now here's a $60,000 truck. Truck broke down. Truck is in the shop. He's paying $1,605 still with the truck in the shop. Can't work. Renting a truck. So he's paying the note. Got to pay for the repair, which he had just paid for a repair. Truck broke down again. He's renting a truck to keep his dedicated contract. So now you're renting a truck, paying the note, and constantly paying for repairs on a newer truck. See, now, same situation. Man, Mark, I wish I would have found your channel first. Now, with the rental truck, the finance is $1,605, plus the repairs that he's doing, because the first pair, I think he said, was like $4 grand. And then the truck is still having this. This is a newer truck. This is one of the newer trucks that they tell you to go get. Now he's in financial ruins. The people that said, get a newer truck because, the brokers ain't going to want to deal with an older truck, those few brokers, right? You're going to base your business off a few people that led him in this direction to the point now he's out of business. These people aren't going to help relieve him of some of his financial burden. He can't go to these people and say, bro, I listened to you. You told me to go out and buy a newer truck. I went out and bought a newer truck, and the truck keep having mechanical issues. I got this dedicated contract, so I'm renting the truck, I'm paying the note, and I keep having to pay for maintenance. Man, my cash flow has dwindled down. I listened to you. Can you help me with some of these bills that I pay because I took your advice? I found this other guy, Mark. If I would have listened to him, I would be so cash flow positive right now, because all the money that I'm paying in the financing, I would have been saving that if I would have just did what was in my best interest in the first place and bought something a little bit more inexpensive, and all the extra money that I would have been saving versus paying this high interest, this high note, and the insurance to go with it, I would have had that money in the bank and I would be able to survive. This is why you have to be careful in the way you advise people. And this is why I don't send people in that direction. So to answer the question that I saw in the chat, for a new person, I would tell them to come in with cash. You can agree, you can disagree. And that's my advice to a person that's coming in as a novice. I advise them to start with cash because they are a high risk, and the people who you go to for financing are going to treat you as such. If you were a financer, if you were a lender, and you were presented with a person who was a novice, who was buying a commercial piece of equipment that has probably been driven across country and back a gazillion times, it could eventually need an overhaul. You don't know. It's a commercial piece of equipment. It's a possibility it's been beat to shit. It's a work truck. So that means it works. It overexerts itself. It's not like a personal vehicle. It's a high risk to any lender. That's why banks don't deal with them. So if you were the lender, it would be a high risk to you, and you would do what's in your best interest to make sure that you recoup your initial investment. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. So if you were a lender and you're taking a high risk client, you're going to take a high risk client with a low reward? Why do you think when people go in this direction, they make them put huge down payments to help alleviate some of the risk? We got 80 people in here. We got 40 likes. Hit the like button. You want to see another one? We showed you one. Let me show you, because Mr. What's his name? Kenneth, last night, he had, I think, did I delete that screenshot? Hold on. I deleted that screenshot because I had to redact some of these people's information. Redacted finance agreement. Is this it? Let's see. Ooh. Redacted finance agreement. Which one is this one? Here's another one. Let me see if I want to show y'all this one. Okay, here's one for $64,000. All right, let me pull this one. Here go another one. I found another one for y'all. Big Mark will always look out for y'all. Hold on, let me see something. Let me make sure I redacted all these people' personal information. Man, this should be so hard to see. They put it so goddamn small. Actually, this deal really ain't that bad. This deal really ain't that bad. Hold on, I'm looking for one where I saw a person had to put $15,000 down. I had screenshotted it and redacted the information, but hold on. Let me see if I can find that one. I want to make sure I don't put nobody's personal information out. Everybody that I'm showing up, I ask permission. Hey, can I use this on a live stream? And they all say, yeah, just redact their personal information. So, all right. So the one that I had with the $15,000, I got to find that one. All right. But anyway, that's why they require you to put so much money down to help alleviate a lot of their risk up front. Why? Because in most circumstances, they know, based on data, based on statistics, most businesses fail. And that's another reason why it's high risk. It's not just high risk because of the wear and tear that might have went into the vehicle, the maintenance that they possibly foresee the business owner or the owner operator may have to encounter, right? And that maintenance will be detrimental to that individual's cash flow, which could put them in a situation where they may not be able to make their payments and fall behind on their payments, right? And, one of the biggest risks of all, that most people that enter in this industry fail within the first year, which is also detrimental to their investment, right? Why? Because now they're stuck with this equipment and the equipment depreciates. This is depreciating equipment. So now we got to send a team out. We got to hire some skip tracer people wherever you are They got to go do research and do all their skip tracing shit to find a truck, right? You probably still working running on the road, which means they got to do more work because the truck ain't sitting. That's costing the lender. And then when they do find it, they going to hit them with a hefty bill. Then they got to get it towed to an auction. And then whatever they sell it for at auction, which they're probably going to lose on it, they got to eat that loss. So this is why they try to alleviate a lot of the risk initially with a huge down payment up front. So why would I send a new person knowing all of that? My moral compass ain't going to allow me to do it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We got 80 people in here. We got 42 likes. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications. My moral compass ain't finna allow me to do that. It's just not. Mm-mm. It's not. I know for sure that a person can save up a couple $1,000s. And when I say a couple thousand, I'm talking about $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. It ain't hard. You just got to go put the work in. If you got to work 2, 3 jobs, and that's what you got to do. If this is really what you want, then this is what you need to do. Bottom line. Or you can start humbly, like I say, and use what you have and work your way up from there. I see more success also when people start with what they have, or they start with minimal risk. I mean, there's nothing wrong with starting a cargo van. There's nothing wrong with starting in your personal vehicle and doing routes in your personal car, and then working up to a cargo van, and then or then working up to a box truck. So, all right. I don't know what's going on in the chat. But listen. I see it to people talking about renting. Renting nowadays is not something that I advise initially. If you get a good rate that's fair, can you start? Yeah. I still recommend you have decent cash flow. And if you do go the rental route initially in today's economy, at the rates that they're charging today, you have to have a serious plan on transitioning out of that rental as soon as possible. When I say as soon as possible, 6 months. Like, long are the days of, and I know you guys hate this because, the $450 a week 26-foot box truck, 10, 12 cents a mile. Yeah, those days are gone. You ain't gonna get them type of rates no more. All right, those days are gone. All right, so in today's economy of the truck rental business, you got to transition out. If that's your entry, then you can't. I don't think you can successfully sustain your business unless you're moving. Unless you're moving, if you're going OTR and you're paying for those miles, even on a local level, doing curbside or maybe final mile, you may have some breathing room, but OTR, you gotta have a plan to transition out of that quickly. I say 6 months. All right. You're gonna end up paying more for a rental truck. If you look at what people are paying for these rental trucks, you bought the truck the first year. There was a guy who came up, I forgot who it was, said, man, 2 years, they already spent $100,000 renting trucks. Now, some people just, those are I guess those are the cars that they have to deal with. And I'm pretty sure if they could They would, but the truth of the matter is if you're renting, you're doing a service to the rental truck company. The whole purpose of that rental truck is to make money. It's constantly making money. It's constantly making money. That truck is paying for itself. It's profiting. All right. The money that you're spending in the rental truck, the money that you could be saving could be reinvested into your business to build your business. Right. So whatever you need to do initially, if that's your entry way into the industry, then you have to have a serious plan. We know people don't like the plan. They don't have an initial plan coming in, a business plan. So once you in and you get in this rental, we don't see people making plans to transition out of these rentals. If that's your entry, there's nothing wrong with it. You just have to have a serious plan because you're going to end up spending on the average person is spending on a rental some $50,000 to $60,000 a year. So I just, back in my day, I was able to scale rentals, and then start transitioning to buying trucks. But I'm talking about the rental rates back then, like, were nothing. Like, bro, $45 a day. $45 a day. I think that's what we were getting. What? Let me see if I can find. I just literally ran across an old Penske receipt. Let me see if it was for a 16-footer or for a 26-footer. Give me a second. Hold on. I recently ran across an old Penske receipt. Is this it? Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me make sure I redact. Well, that credit card is pretty sure. I'm sure that's canceled. That was 2013. Let's see some. Let me blow this. Let me see some. I gotta redact some stuff on here before I can show it. But I'll show it on the live stream coming up. I gotta redact some stuff. I don't need y'all seeing my addresses and stuff because this is before we moved into the warehouse. So it's got my personal address and all that stuff on it. But I can read it to you and then I'll redact this. This was a rental I did, 10 cents a mile. It was $45 a day, 10 cents a mile, and the insurance was $5 a day. Yep. And this was from May. I can't see. I think it says it looks like an 8. So August 29th of 2013. August 29th, 2013. $45 a day, 10 cents a mile, $5 a day for the insurance. Yeah. Yeah, you ain't getting rates like this no more. You could build a business on those rates back in the day. So not no more. So, but yeah, I don't, like, me personally, I don't suggest renting nowadays if you can avoid it. If you absolutely have to come in renting, then you need to have a plan to transition out of it. 6 months. I say 6 months. All right. Shout out to Running Warrior. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for tuning in. Shadow X says his T4 is still good. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Dynamics, T Force, all right. I'm an OG, so they dynamics to me. They've always had issues. All right. They've always had issues since the very first day I stepped foot into dynamics or T Force or whatever. Today they still have issues. I mean, do they pay? They pay. Depending on your negotiation, you get what you negotiate. If they can take advantage of you, they will. But from my experience, I can tell you this, and this is with me, I can't say for everybody. If any 3PL that out of all the 3PLs that I've ever dealt with, Dynamics T Force has been the most lenient. I've always been able to get my way with them. Now there was leverage that played a part, but I've always was able to get my way with them. Now on the flip coin, XPO never budged. I listen, XPO never budged. XPO on the flip coin is a hard company to deal with. Like they rarely, and I'm just speaking from my personal experience. If you negotiate and you got XPO to move, I never could get them to move. Never. T Force always. I like. Whew, that was some easy work right there. T Force. They was just XPO could never get them to move. Um, XPO, another company that just requires a lot of things. Like the few times or the few occasions that we contracted with XPO, it's like I had to add so much to my insurance. Just like, yeah, XPO is something else. Would you recommend getting a personal loan for someone that just opened a business? I opened my LLC a month ago, and since I have no established business credit, no one will finance me. Well, if you need to loan your business money, take a personal loan and loan your business money. If that's what you feel like you need to do, then yeah, just as long as you set a plan with the business to pay yourself back. The business has to pay you back. So part of your cost from the business should be you paying your personal self back from the money that you loan the business, and that payback is a write off. When you say no one will finance you, you're talking about finance your vehicle, or what are you talking about? Are you talking about are you trying to get a business loan, or are you talking about no one will finance your vehicle, your cargo van or your box truck? Uh, let's see. What's a good insurance company to go with? That all depends. I can't really say one insurance company is better than the other. What I can say is get a broker and let the broker shop for you. All right. Find a good broker. All right. And then just let them shop for you and let them put you a package together. But you got to find a good broker. All right. The key to finding a good broker is find someone that's looking out for your best interest. So, for example, I'm going to give you the sauce. If you go to a broker and you say, okay, I'm trying to get commercial insurance, and they get right back to you instantaneously or within an hour, a couple hours, or that same day, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say progressive. All right, they're going to send you a progressive quote. It's going to be high, right? And then they're going to tell you something like, "Oh, that's the only people that got back to me." That's cap. And I'm telling you from experience. I'm telling you from being in this industry a long time, and my broker's been an insurance broker in transportation over 30 years. They're sending you to Progressive, one, because they're lazy. They haven't shopped you. Well, Mark, how do you know they haven't shopped me? Because in order for a broker to shop you, they have to create a profile and they have to shop you on the market and they have to wait for proposals to come back, and they're not coming back the same day. Whenever my broker shopped me when it was time for us to renew every year, he started shopping me 60 days out, and it would take about a week, maybe a week and a half for proposals to come back. Progressive is instantaneous. You can sit down at the computer yourself and put in the information and get a policy within 10, 15 minutes. All right. You can't do that for a lot of commercial insurance companies, because you have to go through a broker. They're not going to deal with you directly. They deal with a broker, and then the broker deals with you. All right. So the reason why they do this, one, is because they're lazy, and two, the more you pay, the bigger their monthly residual kickback from you paying your bill is. They know that. They know you don't know that, but that's why I'm here telling you that. So if you go to a broker and they kick you back Progressive the same day, one or two options. Find another broker that's going to take more time and actually shop you, or two, tell that broker to go actually shop you and not just send you Progressive because you're lazy and you don't want to actually do your job, and or two, because you want me to pay a high monthly bill, because whatever that 3 or 4% kickback that you get over the course of the term of me paying my insurance, 3% on $1,000 and 3% on $2,000 is a big difference, right? So get a broker. Make sure you get a good broker. A good broker is going to take at least about a week before they get back with you, and then they're going to present you with some options, right? They've picked out probably the best option for you, and they're going to present it to you, and you can go from there. It doesn't necessarily have to be your general liability, your commercial auto, your cargo, all from one company. All right. When I first got started, my general liability was with Acuity, and my commercial auto and my cargo was with Grange. All right. Um, After a few years in business, we had a claim for 55 grand. I've talked about that story before. Obviously, Grange didn't renew us. Um, we ended up having to go with Progressive short notice at the last minute. That one auto policy cost me over 50 grand that year. Um, After that 1 year of dealing with that, uh, um, my broker started shopping me, right, to get me out of that Progressive deal. We still had Acuity for the general line, Acuity across the whole tenure. Um, we ended up going with Mercury for commercial auto and National Fire and Liability for cargo, and it's been that way. So Acuity, Mercury, National Fire and Liability. So that's 3 different insurance companies, and you'll see it on the Accord form. Uh, the Acuity policy number, the Mercury. So what I'm saying is, once my broker looked at all the proposals that came back, yeah, each one sent, a quote for, okay, if we get everything with Mercury, we get everything with Granger, we get everything with Progressive, we get everything with National Fire Liability, we get everything with Byberg, so on and so forth. But there's also itemized. They're also itemized. Well, if you just take general liability with us, it'll be this. If you take this with us, it'll be this. If you take this with us, it'll be this. So what my broker did, because he's such a great broker, he mentioned and matched and said, man, Mark, this is the best I can get for you. We're going to stay with Acuity, because to me, Acuity has always been the cheapest when it comes to general liability. This is why we've always had them throughout the tenure. Mercury was the best for commercial auto, and then National Fire and Liability for cargo. So he just plucked it, and then it's 3 separate insurance companies. That's how you can tell you got a good broker, because they're just working. You don't have to have one insurance company um, for everything. You know what I'm saying? So find you a good broker, and then they'll find you uh, the best rates. And I can say by far, Mercury, great, great, great insurance company. Like when I had a situation, I talked about this before, when my business had its first lawsuit, Mercury, they didn't drop me. They, you know, we won, But through the process, they asked me, what do you want to do? And that's why I always, Mercury, I think, is a good. So if you ask me what's a good insurance company, I could say Mercury is a good insurance company because in that situation, it didn't drop me. The rep called me and said, "What do you want us to do? Do you want us to just pay this guy out? He's asking for 20,000. Do you want us to just pay it out, or do you want to fight this? Because you're saying it's cap, which not what she said, but you guys know cap. And if you want us to fight this, then we'll just fight this." I said, I'm fighting this because I'm not gonna let nobody try to lean on me, and ain't shit wrong with them. So we fought it. We went through the depositions. They sent me in there with a team of lawyers, and we went through that whole process. Took a year and a half, year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half to 2 years, and essentially we won. But I think that's a good company because they all the years that I was paying them, when a situation like that arises, they didn't kick me to the curb. They gave me an option. They asked me what I wanted to do, and the option that I chose, they rolled with me. So, all right. So from an aspect of what I think is a good company, that's the only company I can say because that's the only company I really had a situation where I could really determine if they have my best interest. As far as prices are concerned, whatever my broker says the cheapest is who I'm rolling with. Like, I ain't got no personal feelings one way or another, this company versus that company. I'm willing to pay a little bit more for this company versus that company. Yo, whoever is the cheapest, that's who we rolling with. But from just an experience where I can say they have my best interest, that's the only experience that I've had, and they had my best interest, and they looked out for the kids. So, why you had a lawsuit? You gotta go back and look at the content. I told this story a couple times, bro. I actually did a whole video on it. In a nutshell, one of my trucks got into an accident. Um, so it was the driver, right? My driver, my helper, right? And then the other party that was in a part of the accident. It wasn't that far from my warehouse. They got into an accident, and my employee that was not the driver but the helper, he sued everybody. He sued my company, he sued his coworker, which was the driver, and then he sued the other party that was involved in the accident. He sued everybody. My name wasn't attached to the lawsuit because I have a corporation. So he sued my company, my corporation. He sued his coworker, which is the driver, and then he sued the other party that was involved. I showed up to the scene of the accident because it was literally maybe about a half a mile from the warehouse, and I get there. It's a fender bender. I pull up. This dude laid out in the passenger side like that. The other person involved in the accident was a senior citizen. She out walking around, and she had a Hyundai Elantra, a little bitty Hyundai Elantra versus a big ass truck. He's on the passenger side. The accident was the front driver's side and the other party's front passenger, front fender, and front bumper. He's on the passenger side. He didn't even, the impact wasn't even on his side. The senior citizen lady out walking around, bending over, looking, asking her. My driver, he walking around, yeah, we cool, we cool. I'm like, where Floyd at? Floyd in the goddamn passenger side, laid out like this, asking for an ambulance and shit. In the back of my head, I knew, I said, all right, this is what he on. But I didn't know he was going to really try to pull it. And when I say he pulled it, he pulled it. And I mean, you got to watch that content. It was so bad that he went through 5 law firms before the last law firm actually took him serious. Like, the first 4 law firms, they took the case, and then when they initially reached out to me for the point of contact, when they were sending the little cards and shit like that, and they called, and like when they were asked like what happened, I said, look, the dude came into my office, which he did like 2 days later, and tried to lean on me like, man, run me $2. Like, he said, run me $2 and I'll make it go away. That's basically what he told me. So his stupid ass, bro, it's cameras everywhere, bro. Like you come into my office like you're on camera, goofball Jamal. So he did that. He came back 2 days later. I told him, let me think about it. You know what I'm saying? He came back 2 days later saying, giving you shit, man. Do what you got to do. He went to one law firm. They took it up. When they reached out, I already had my lawyers. I said, bro, the man on video in the office trying to blackmail. They dropped him. He went to a second one. They picked it up, same situation. Hey, the man on camera, y'all want to waste time and resources fighting this, then this is what we got on camera. We got video and we got audio. They dropped it. Third, same thing. Fourth, same thing. Fifth, they was on that. They was on that, bro. They didn't care. They thought they had him one. Even with the camera and the audio and the video, they still pushed through. You know, and that's when Mercury hit me like, man, what you want? You want us to give him the 20, or you want to fight it? I said, shit, let's fight it. And then we start the whole process of fighting it. Uh, Everybody had to go through their depositions. The other lady involved had to go through her deposition. My driver, he had to do his deposition. I went in for my deposition, man. Shit, man, I thought I was the way the dude was, because he's sitting across the table. I'm sitting here. My team of lawyers sitting here. I think the reporter was sitting here, the person that was typing everything, and then at the far end of the table was the lady that was involved, attorney. So I got a team. The legal team that was representing him was on this side, but it was one person who was sitting directly across from me that was asking me the questions. The reporter was sitting at the head of the table right here, and she was taking notes, and then the lady's attorney was sitting at the other end. And but I thought I was on trial for murder. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn. He was just leaning on the kid. Like, and I wasn't at the scene of the accident. I didn't cause the accident. It was one question that he got hung up on that he just didn't believe. Like, he got so frustrated. He was a white guy. He turned red. He was like, so what happened with the truck after the accident? I said, what you mean happened? Drove it back to the yard. He said, you drove the truck back to the yard? I said, yeah, the accident happened literally a few blocks from the yard. Like, not finna tow it. He's like, you didn't drive. I said, bro, I told him to drive the truck back to the yard. He said, let's take a recess. He took a recess for like 10, 15 minutes. He left the room. He came back with some papers because there was people on the accident. There was people at the scene of the accident. Anytime you get into an accident in the hood, because my warehouse is in the hood, people gonna always stop. Let me tell y'all middle Americans something about accidents in the hood. Whenever there's an accident in the hood, you're gonna see regular people that witness it or didn't even witness it, just driving past and see the accident. Cause I'm on the scene now. And people just stop it. Hey, y'all need a witness? Y'all need a witness? They would go to the lady. You need a witness? Because they see the big commercial. And this was one of my rap trucks. So this is a truck that's branded, company name, website, 800 number. So in the hood, they see, oh shit, this a lick. So they pulling over, they asking the old lady, do she need a witness? They finna lie. You weren't even here. So the pictures that he got were from someone that was acting as a witness for the lady, right? So he comes back 10, 15 minutes later, and he puts the pictures on the table. He sits down, he puts the paper, he turns it around and slides it in front of me. He said, you see this truck? I said, yeah. He said the front driver wheel is deflated. That it absorbed the impact. It's on the rim. And I said, look, you must don't know what it's like to come from nothing. The yard is about 4 blocks away. Yeah, all your ambulance chaser records that heard the call, they was there. They was all there fighting over who gonna get the tow. They steady coming up to Big Mark saying, well, the driver, they going up to the driver asking him, he's like, well, the owner right there, they coming up to me, man, I got you, man, we're gonna tow it to my yard. I'm like, why I need to tow it to your yard when I got a whole big ass yard sitting on acres? I don't need you. We're gonna tow it. Well, man, don't worry about it. We'll just tow it to our yard, and then you could just hire your insurance company. Bro, I'm from the crib. Don't you think I know that y'all finna charge my insurance company all these exorbitant fees? Y'all, that's a scam. I already know what that scam is, fam. I'm good. So once I got them off me, like, leave me alone. We good over here. After everything was settled, I told my driver, drive this shit back to the yard on the rim. So I told him that. I said, bro, we drove it back on the rim. He said, you didn't. I said, bro, you think I'm finna pay a wrecker hundreds of dollars to take it 4 blocks down the street? 4 blocks, bro. It's fucked up anyway. The rim is fucked anyway. I'm not finna pay $800, $900 to go 4 blocks. Draw that shit on the rim. His face turned red. He couldn't believe it. I said, bro, it was 4 blocks. Drove it on the rim. Not towing it 4 blocks, dude. Not towing it 4 blocks. Driving it on the rim. Only going 4 blocks. Told him, white guy, face turned red. He didn't know what to do. He thought he had Big Mark. I said, bro, you must don't know what it's like to come from nothing. When you come from nothing, even though you've made it, bro, I'm not finna pay $800 or $700 to tow it 4 blocks. You goddamn right, drove it right back to the yard on the rim. You better believe it. Surely did. His face turned red. And he thought he had one. And the deposition just kept going, and eventually we won. So they say he finna pray like crazy going to Chicago this week. Which you should pray every day anyway. You should pray every day anyway. Dave, Chicago just different, bro. We a little bit different here. You know, you'll be all right, bro. If you come in here driving your truck and you on business, you'll be all right. Don't bother nobody and won't nobody bother you. Don't get no road rage, though. If somebody's sitting at a green light, because they probably texting and not paying attention, don't blow the horn. Just sit there. That's a little advice from me to you. That's a little advice from me to you. Don't honk the horn on them. All right? People don't really stop at red lights here either and stop signs. So when you going through your intersection, all right, on the green, you might want to cover the brake a little bit, pimp. Use your peripheral. Look both ways, because, you know, we don't stop at red lights. We don't stop at stop signs, because, you know, it's a little bit different here. You know, got to keep things moving. Sitting ducks get plucked. You dig what I'm saying? So going through them green lights, slow down, cover the brake. Make sure your peripherals is working, because it might be somebody that's coming. And they don't necessarily have to be in the Trackhawk or a Hellcat or a Kia or a Hyundai. It's everybody. Everybody, all right? So just keep those little things in mind, and you'll be all right. You'll be all right. Don't worry about it. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. We carry freight, so I ain't mad at Mark. 4 blocks, I would have done the same. Yeah, I mean, the rim was messed up anyway, bro. I mean, the whole front bumper, the left front fender, the tire was busted. The rim was fine. So shit, whatever. Listen, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. You know, I wasn't finna pay them $800 to go 4 blocks. You gotta be crazy. Shit, you could say what you want to say. I don't give a damn. Shit. All right, let me see what else we got. Another question here. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't get a chance to really answer no questions last night, because Kenneth took up most of the time with his, you know. Kenneth said Floyd saw opportunity. Yeah, Floyd did see an opportunity. And that kind of goes with, you know, people ask me, would you do it over working with people? Nah, bro. I never do that. And guess what? My own people, bro. Wasn't nothing wrong with them. See, if the thing is, if something was wrong with them, then yeah, that's what we got insurance for. But wasn't nothing wrong with them. So, bro, I ain't finna go through that with your goofy ass. So, shit. Did what we had to do. Pay you shit, boy. You tweaking. Yeah, but your own people will do it to you the worst, bro. And guess what? I talked about this too. You know what? He was the brother of another employee. He had just got out the joint. So person who no one would give an opportunity to. I took him in, gave him an opportunity so that he could put, food on the table. Nobody else would give him an opportunity. I gave him an opportunity. As soon as he saw an opportunity, he took it. And guess what my lawyers found out too? This wasn't new to him. Like he had a pending lawsuit for a slip and fall with either Home Depot or Best Buy. I forget which one. And he had a history of doing this shit. So I'm like, how the hell did he just get lucky that the truck got into an accident? It's just like he had a history of doing this, slipping falls and suing and shit. So, and he had a pending one at that time that they found out with Home Depot or Best Buy. So yeah, but your own people will do it to you worse. The people that you give an opportunity to when nobody else would. So, it is what it is, man. Let's see. It is long and was rejected. All right, so here's manual. All right, I haven't directly gone out to try to finance a vehicle, but I did want to get a business loan that was rejected since I just opened shop. The loan was going to be used to purchase a small box truck. So yeah, you're not so with a business loan for a new business, a bank ain't gonna look at you for about 2 years. A traditional bank, 2 to 3 years, depending on the bank, right? Um, in about a year, you can take out. I wouldn't call them a hard money loan, but like a high risk. Like they got those daily debit loans that you like. Cabbage used to do them, but then Cabbage got acquired by American Express. You got Credibly, uh, on deck. Some of these companies they'll do daily debits, or they'll do higher risk, week to week or month to month uh finance loans for newer businesses, and they are taking a risk on you. So the interest rates are a little bit higher. You can go that route, though the minimum requirement as far as you having to be in business, it used to be 6 months. Now it's a year. Um, you can go that route after a year, but most places, most banks, financial institutions don't touch new businesses for the same reason, like we talked about earlier, as far as your conventional and your traditional banks uh, don't touch used commercial equipment. It's too much of a risk. Why? Bank ain't gonna loan you no money because based off studies and statistics and data, most businesses fail the first year. A lot of businesses fail the first year. So it's a high risk that banking institutions are not going to take. They want to see that you can go through the initial phases of the 5 stages of business growth, which is the first two phases, the existence phase and the survival phase. Once you can make it through the existence phase and the survival phase, then they'll, flirt with the idea of maybe, you know, listening what you have to bring to the table and determine if, okay, we'll give you a loan. And then even then, they may just offer you a business line of credit. So no, you're not going to get a business loan off back. You know what I'm saying? Uh, what you can do if you have good personal credit, you can, depending on where you're buying, if you can get someone to finance the commercial piece of equipment, like a credit union, maybe, I don't know. Um, or if you get lucky to find somebody to finance it that's not one of these places, which is going to be tough to do as well for the same reasons, you can do that and PG it, personally guarantee it, but that's going to be tough as well. So this goes back to why I tell people to delay their gratification, work really, really hard, and come in using cash, or start from humble beginnings, use what you have and work your way up. At least if you're working your way up, as you come up, you're 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 learning the business, you're using the future receivables from the business to fund yourself. And as you scale up, you may scale up to a cargo van, from your car to a cargo van, and then now you got that piece of equipment, if it's paid off, you could use and trade that in, trade it up to a box truck. and then pay off the difference, so on and so forth. But I see success. I've seen success starting from humble beginnings and just bootstrapping, grassrooting my way up. And I see other people that have success that way as well. But getting a loan from a bank as a new business, highly unlikely, sir. Those days are far, far, far. You're talking about decades. That they haven't done that in decades. My name is Charles. I'm an OTR driver currently based in Oswego, Illinois. I have grown a strong interest in cargo van box truck business. Subscribe to your channel to continue to educate myself. Appreciate you, Carlito. You are my neighbor to Oswego is straight out on what, 88? 88? So you west. You're west of here. Oswego is a distance. Oswego is out by St. Charles, right? Yeah, Oswego is out by St. Charles. Shout out to you. Shout out to all my Illinois people. Yeah, towards Iowa. Yep. 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 So yeah, man. I don't know. To each his own, man. Like when I do my content, you can agree with it, you can disagree with it. I don't care. You dig what I'm saying? But like I said, I'm not gonna steer anybody down a path of destruction. My path may take longer, it may be slower, but I think ultimately it's the safest. At the end of the day, you can do what you want to do, but delayed gratification, I think hard work, can ultimately win the race. You may survive longer than the people that, watch content and I just sold on this idea of making a lot of money and doing what's not in their best interest, coming in with minimal money because this is how it's perpetuated to them, and just not understanding, the first initial year and just learning the business and how costly that is and just the trials and tribulations of just being in business uh your first year. Because think, if everybody could come in with the knowledge of a 10-year vet in an industry that they're into, then you would see the success rate higher. The reason why the success rate is low and the failure rate is high is because of the lack of experience, whether it be lack of experience from the day-to-day hands-on stuff in the field, and just the lack of business acumen, the lack of financial literacy as it pertains to business, so on and so forth. So that's it, man. It's the object is consuming information, especially in the form of content nowadays, since this is kind of what it's evolved to. Back in the day, we had encyclopedias. We would have to go to the library and look up, research old articles on microfilm. We would have to get books, which we have to use the card catalog and Dewey Decimal card catalog. I'm sorry, microfilm, all that stuff. So nowadays you guys got information at the palm of your hand, but the difference of back then versus now is the information, for the most part, that you consume back in the day, there was less finesse in it, right? It just was what it was, right? It was hard. It was there, whether you're researching microfilm, these are from real articles, right? Encyclopedia, World Book, Encyclopedia Britannica. These are, things that are, have been printed to provide education. Right? They're not going to mislead you, right? These are educational tools. Now with the the invention of the internet and then social media, you have people that actually can provide information. And unfortunate side of that is, you're listening to information from different people's perspectives. Some of it can be disingenuous, some of it can be misleading, some of it could be misconstrued. uh, uh, and that's the downside. On the good side of it is, you have information at the palm of your hands, and you have a multitude of places that you can consume it from, versus back in the day where the resources were limited and you had to take a bus, train, and an automobile to get to it. You couldn't get information from the palm of your hand. You had to literally leave the house and go to a public library, or you had to be fortunate enough where you can afford an expensive set of encyclopedias, right? Encyclopedias were very expensive. And I know this may be going over some people's heads, but I'm just giving, because you may not be old enough to remember, but I'm just giving you a comparison analysis of the power that you have versus, years past. But, you have to understand that there's good and bad in consuming information. The point of it is you have to take the information consumed from me or whoever else, and you still have to go and do some work. You got to extract, right? Um, the information that suits your interest the best. So you got to extract that information, and then you have to discard and know what information to discard that may not be in your best interest. And when I say may not be in it may not just be misleading information. It could be good information. It just may not work best for what your situation is. And that I can give a numerous amount of examples for that. And the reason why I'm saying that is, without running on too long, is because it goes back to what I talked about earlier, a moral compass. Like, I try to think about what I say before I say it going into a live stream, because and a lot of people ask, Mark, why don't you talk about financial stuff on the public side? Because I understand that influence is I understand the power of influence, and I could say one thing and I could take let's say a high risk, but the person who's consuming it may not be able to take it, but they just heard me say it, they follow me into it. I may exit because I, invested in a certain amount initially, not come back and like reiterate that I've divested from it. That person remains in it, they get wrecked, right? They didn't go do their due diligence. They just heard me mention it and they went and did it. So that's why certain things like that I just don't talk about, right? And when I talk about box trucking, from a business perspective, I have that more compass as well, because I understand that there's people out there that is just not gonna still consume the information and still do their due diligence and research the information to see if it's valid or not, and see what from this information they can extract and utilize it in their actual business. And that's it, man. In a nutshell. Appreciate everybody. Kenneth says, shout out to Christy Wright for becoming a member. Kenneth Brown saying, this is why I say we have resources definitely in 2024. It's successful, and this is why. Yeah, we got resources, but those resources can be misconstrued. You have resources that mislead people. Influencers are resources, right? But you have influencers that mislead people, consciously and unconsciously. You have people that do it purposely, right? And you have people that do it because they're looking to monetize, you know what I'm saying, based off generic information, no real experience, you know what I'm saying? But they see it trending in Google Trends like people did during that time period. And then you had people that were not even in this industry coming into this industry because Google Trends said, yo, box truck business is trending, and advertisers are paying woo wop de bam on this type of content, and they're just pulling generic information and then they're putting it out there, and people are consuming it, getting in without doing the proper due diligence, which led to an enormous failure rate. the people that are still proactively producing box truck content, if they're producing it proactively, and it may not be uh in volume, like I produce it in volume because I have the resources and the time to do so. I understand that other people that are active in the space may not be afforded the time that I have because they haven't been in the space that long to do what they got to do to create other streams of revenue to be able to exit from, and I understand that. um so they may not be able to produce it but as much as I do in volume. But if they are still actively producing it, and they were producing it during said time period and or before that time period, and they're still taking time to produce that content, still even in a decline where people aren't consuming it, it may not be f- you know oh I don't want to say profitable. I want to say outside of the fact that they're helping people, right? The time that they're invested, right? It may not be awarding, or they may not be reaping nothing back from it outside of the fact that they're helping people. You still have to, give kudos to those people because so many people came, exploited this sector, and when the shit came rolling downhill, they left. So it is what it is. So I'm not gonna continue to blabble. I think I came and said what I needed to say. It is what it is. Uh, all right. So I got some other stuff to do. I jumped on earlier today because I got some things I want to do. I appreciate everybody. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. Peace.